number is increasing
daily.
By the minute. Yeah, daily. 64,000 Black women and children and people are missing in this country. And that's a lot, right? And people in general are going missing, but we're going missing at alarming rates. And 64,000 to people, oh, there's so many billions of people, in the world or whatever. But in America, the fact that we have 64,000 missing, that makes it 30% of all missing cases. That is crazy when we're only 13% of the population, and even less than that when you just count women. So it is a national epidemic that should be talked about by everyone, because everyone has a sister, a mother, a daughter, a cousin. Everybody cares about these Black women in their life, and we wanted to touch on, why does that not get talked about? Well,
I was going to say, because
go ahead.
They don't care about Black women.
They don't care about us, right?
Because, honestly, if you look at it and you hear about women disappearing, you only hear about white women disappearing. By the news standards, Black women don't go missing. Mm-hmm. What are you talking about? Because I know I have never heard anything about Black women going missing, because it's not talked about. But if it's a white woman, oh, she went missing. What happened to her? Let's find her. All these things, and that's.
So it's the same thing as back in the day, they used to tell people, oh, we can't put a Black woman on a magazine because it won't sell. But who do you know is the supermodels now? Now, who do we say supermodel?
Naomi Campbell. What?
We say Tyra Banks. Of course we say,
what is her name?
Claudia Schiffer and what's the one with the
Lupita.
Lupita, that's, she's an actress, but yeah, still.
She's still
model. Yeah, same thing. Kinda. But what I'm saying is for some reason, when it comes to Black people in general, when it comes to movies, they'll say, oh, we can't make that movie because it won't sell. We can't do this. Even though we have amazing buying power in this country, they will say that we can't do this, this, and that. It's the same thought process. We're not going to put that on the news because people don't care about Black people, which goes back to what Colin Kaepernick was saying. People don't pay attention to what's going on and what our troubles are, so we're not going to do that. But when a young white girl goes missing, it's national news. It's everywhere. It's being covered by Nancy Grace. It's all over the place. And I'm not just making that up. There are several reporters, I know some personally, and you can Google and find them who have done studies how networks do not want to put missing Black children or Black kids on television or Black women on television. But that same reporter will be called out of bed in the middle of the night to cover a young white girl who goes missing. Now, I'm not by any way, shape, or form saying that those white girls shouldn't be looked for, but we definitely should be looked for as well. We definitely should. And I want to just talk about the reasons behind it. So I live in Virginia, this is the DMV area, and we definitely are experiencing an uptick in people going missing. There were several times that there were attempted abductions in just this area alone. Over the last couple of years, when my kids were a little younger, DC has children missing on the regular. They're going missing on the regular. It's crazy. Florida is a national hub for sex trafficking, so it's really happening there a lot. And what I've discovered through my research is there's three main reasons that this is going on. So the first reason is the reason that has always kind of been around. We're talking about these Silence of the Lambs type of people, crazy, take a girl, rape her, kill her. Yeah,
kill them.
What everybody thinks of.
You find the body.
Yeah, you find the body. Just some psycho, CSI, whatever, special victims unit type of stuff. And those people definitely need to be sought after. We need to definitely, go after the serial killers and the rapists and things like that. And that's always been.
It's always there.
Yeah, there. But what we're seeing now is that Black girls are in high demand in the sex trade. Melanated people. I don't want to just say Black girls because it's actually Latinas as well, and it's actually Asians as well.
Black and brown.
Yes, Black and brown people. Anybody with melanin is highly sought after. So that's the sex trade is a big, big part of that. And there's a particular case that happened in DC with a little girl named Relisha Rudd who went missing. Her story breaks my heart because she just never had a shot, man. When she went missing, she was living in a homeless shelter. The guy who everybody believes took her was the janitor at the homeless shelter in DC. The last known video footage of her was him and her going into a hotel room, but he was found 2 weeks later. He shot himself. He had already killed his wife and he shot himself, but she's never been found. And it's definitely believed from different things that went on that she was probably sold into sex slavery. And there's video of this little girl. You can see her like answering questions, and just lights up a room. And it just breaks my heart that now she's probably a teenager and no one knows where she is, who she is, you know, things like that. That's a case of sex trade. When I was in high school, and I didn't even think I was gonna talk about this, I'm gonna talk about it. And people who went to school with me are gonna know what I'm talking about. When I was in high school, one year, a bunch of people I knew, girls and some family, ended up going into prostitution. The guys who put them in prostitution were in my school, and the girls were in my school. I know this for a fact because I drove to DC to go to the Ritz, if y'all remember that, and I saw them on the corner. So at that point, I thought, well, they're dumb. They're gonna just let somebody take their money. You know, what are they doing? You know, that's before I really knew the game and psychologically how that happens. And on the other hand, there is a dichotomy there, right? Because I am fascinated with the life of Iceberg Slim. We've all grown up with watching the Mac and different things like that, but it gets really, really deep when you get older and you start thinking about it. Now, they were all young, and I don't judge any of those people who were kind of went into that lifestyle, because as far as I know, one of them unfortunately passed away, and everybody else has since came out of that and got their lives together. And that's how easy it is. These are all people I knew growing up, you know, not from the best homes or whatever. And then like that, they were on a corner in DC. And the crazy thing about DC, as far as prostitution goes, I've seen it personally. I've seen young girls underage on the corner, and people pull up with diplomatic tags. These are congressmen, these are diplomats taking these girls, and that definitely needs to be highlighted and sought after. And the third reason that this is going on is very alarming. So this episode, I'm dedicating it to 3 people, and that's Relisha Rudd, and that's Kendrick Johnson, and Henrietta Lacks. I'll get into who each of those people are. I just told you about Relisha Rudd, and let's pray for that family and keep them in our thoughts. The third reason is organ harvesting. And when people hear this, they think it's crazy. They're like, oh, that's crazy. Anybody taking nobody's organs. If you watch the movie Get Out, people are like, oh, that's a great, scary movie. But it was, you know, sometimes fiction is like real life, right? So Black organs that have direct melanin and DNA linked to Africa are way more valuable on the Black market. A kidney goes for like $250,000 on the Black market. So that's really, really
Superior.
big business, right? So
I can sell one of mine.
what?
I can sell one of mine.
You can if you want to.
For $250.
You know what? I'm not.
All
I
right.
cannot.
I know.
That's on the Black market. If you
Oh.
sell one, they're probably gonna take the other one. But anyways, so our organs and DNA is highly sought after. Okay. A lot of people don't believe that. They go, oh, you know. And I'm not saying, oh, it's sought after because we're just easy targets. It's actually scientific in our DNA, right? And if you don't believe that, you should really research Henrietta Lacks. Henrietta Lacks was a young mother in Virginia. She came from here. She went to Johns Hopkins because she had a knot in her stomach and she was sick. They found out she had cancer. They took her cells. They took the cancer out and they took the other part out as well. The other part of her, I think her cervix. And what they did was they found that her cells multiplied at crazy, crazy levels. So to this day, Henrietta Lacks her cells have been used in over 250,000 studies to this day. Because that happened in 1951. And her family has never been paid at all. Her family is actually like a very tragic story if you listen to it or you read
They
it.
don't even have any health insurance to this.
No health insurance, nothing. People have made billions off of her cells. Her cells are still in a laboratory right now. That cannot be duplicated. That cannot be duplicated in certain races. And I'm not saying, oh, we're so big and we're better. Da, 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 da. It's just scientific. It's just something that has happened, right? It's really the same reason that during slavery, when people were lynched, there was all kinds of people lynched, the Irish, the Italians, or whoever. There was only one group of people whose penises were cut off, and those were black men. They would have what's called pick a nick a day, and they would cut their penises off, and they would do that because the fear of the black semen, because that DNA is special. And the problem with what we were talking about earlier, us being docile, is we don't know our own history. So when you gain knowledge of self, you understand the chessboard of what's really going on. Our organ harvesting goes right into that, goes directly into that. So Henrietta Lacks is definitely a case you should look up. The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks is one to really research. But I say all that because there's a young man. His name was Kendrick Johnson. He was in Georgia. This happened a couple years ago. I used to always tell people, I tell my children, don't sign up to be an organ donor. Don't do that. If you want to give your organs, you put it in your will. And you say, my organs can go to my family, or my organs can go blah, 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 blah. So that when you die, you can give them away. I'm not hating on anybody who gets organ transplants. I know that they're needed sometimes. But there is data and stories of doctors being paid off to not save you, and funeral homes taking organs out and things like that. And I used to say it for years, and people are like, oh, that's not true. Well, let's fast forward to recently. So Kendrick Johnson was a young high school student in Georgia, and he was found rolled up in a gym mat, and he was dead with no shoes on. They said that he killed himself. Who can kill themselves and roll themselves up in a gym mat? I don't know, right? So that was the first part. His parents were heartbroken. They were like, somebody had to have killed him. The coroner did some research and found out that under his jaw on one side there was bleeding, on the other side there wasn't bleeding. So they knew that there was some kind of blunt force trauma. But that came after months and months and months of the cops not really wanting to investigate, not wanting to put it on the news like Mimi was talking about. So this is where it gets crazy. His family has his body exhumed to research more stuff, and when they go inside of him, his brain was gone, his organs, his lungs, his kidneys, everything was gone, and it was stuffed with Black Friday newspapers. That is a true story. Please look it up. True story. And I wish I could tell you, because it makes me, it just hurts my heart. I wish I could tell you that that was a really fluke case, but they find black bodies on a regular basis that have organs missing. They just don't talk about it on the news. Really, really, really do your research and look it up. So I believe a lot of these children that are taken are either sold into sex slavery or they're used for their organs. Another case that you can look up is a little Somalian girl was adopted, because something that goes on is American families, particularly white families, not saying all white people do this, but just some of them, have been known to adopt African children in order for them to grow so they can take their organs if they need them for later. It's sick, you know what I'm saying? That's like really sick that's going on, and it needs to be stopped, because people are always evil people are gonna do what they can do if the light's not being shed.
They're always gonna figure out a way to work the system.
Yeah.
However they can do it.
And they do this a lot to African children and Asian children, because Asian children still have melanin. And if you research the original Asians, you'll get where I'm coming from, right?
Nobody cares what happens to black and brown people.
Exactly. So we care. So we're going to shed light on it. But there are several cases of black people being found without their organs, their brains, their lungs, their hearts, things like that. And it's not a fluke. You know what I'm saying? Who's taking organs for no reason? Like, that's crazy. So this is something that we need to definitely touch on. Now, I wanted Soraya to be here because, you can see her. She's a beautiful girl. So as a mother, I worry all the time, like, okay, have I prepared my children? I'm trying to be on it. I try to educate my kids as much as possible. I try to tell them what to look out for in worldly things, what to look out for, especially with her with sex trafficking, things like that. I personally know of 2 times that she's been approached where we think it was something to do with sex trafficking. She's saying there are more, so she's going to share her experience. I want to tell parents out there that you need to really talk to your children, because it's not always some guy pulls up in a cargo van and grabs the girls or boys. The boys are really, really a hot commodity in Mexico. The Americans go down there to get them in Mexico, but we'll talk about that later. It's not that they just come and they grab them and put them in a van. You know, that happens, of course. But a lot of times, if you talk to people who used to be in the sex trade, who are now advocates trying to help them, they'll tell you they have what's called shopping season. And shopping season, they'll go to college campuses, they'll go to churches. They'll go to churches for weeks and watch who goes up to the altar on a regular basis. And if that person is going up to the altar on a regular basis, okay, they got something going on in their life. Something's going on. So then they go to them, and of course we know they run game. And a young naive girl doesn't know. She's like, "Oh my God, you're so great, you're special." And then all of a sudden, next thing you know, she's into prostitution. She's sold off. She can't speak to her family. She's in California somewhere. She's moving coast to coast, right? Or they'll go to college campuses and say, "Hey, do you want to come to church? We have a local church." Sure. Well, the church is going to have their van come pick you up on Sunday. And the girl will get in the van, and she's never seen from again. So you got to really be vigilant and make sure you tell your children to trust their gut. I believe the female intuition is like...
And they're never too young for you to
talk about.
Because I know, like with my daughter, I'm always talking about, you know, she's 10. She believes people are good. And people are good, but people are also bad. And I like to explain to her that people do... Like, I'm blunt with her. I tell her, people do horrible things to children. Mm-hmm. I was like, and you always, don't go anywhere alone. Always be aware of what's around you. Always know where an exit is. And these are things that it's kind of crazy to me, because when I was a kid, nobody told me these things, but I'm telling my daughter these things. Like, you need to be aware so you can, if somebody's making you uncomfortable, don't ignore it. Like, tell somebody that you trust. Like, they make me uncomfortable, or I don't know, but I keep seeing this person pop up and blah, blah, blah. It's okay to talk about these things.
Would you like Marley to come upstairs and listen to this part?
She probably isn't going to want to.
Okay. I didn't know if you wanted to know or not. Okay, so as far as looking at your surroundings, I'm going to share another story. I've had a lot going on in my life, and these are all true. They can be verified. So before Soraya speaks, I'm going to talk about paying attention to what's going on. So when I was a little girl, I was in 5th grade, and I lived in an apartment complex in Woodbridge, and it was called Virginia Commons. And, back in the day, you had to be inside before the streetlights came on, or if you're living in an apartment complex, you could be in the building, you know what I'm saying, like chilling in the hallway. So I used to always hang around dudes, and these guys I grew up with, we were all in the apartment complex. It was a Sunday night, I believe, right before school. And for about a week and a half prior to that, we would be at the bus stop, and there was always this man staring at this bus stop. He was like random. I was like, what is he there for? But at the bus stop, different parents was there. So he never approached. It is what it was. Didn't think anything of it, but I was like, that's weird. Like, I always, I try to pay attention to what's going on. Like, that's weird. Like, that man keeps being there. There's no kids. He don't have no kids, whatever. So we were all hanging out. I think we were like trying to do the kid and play dance from the house party or something. And I had there was a girl, she was younger than me, but she was my friend. And she lived in the building to the left of me. And it was getting dark outside, but the streetlights had already come on. I knew that I couldn't come out of my building. I was like sitting in the building, chilling and talking, getting ready for whatever's going on for school tomorrow. And I saw her and her little brother come out of their building with trash. She couldn't have been older than 8. He was probably like 6. She couldn't have been older than 8. And I remember thinking, why are they going to put trash out this late at night? Like, my mom would never send me to do that, blah, blah, blah. But everybody's different, So she walks away. Her and her brother walk away. We're talking or whatever. And then all of a sudden her brother comes running back down towards the building. He's screaming, somebody took my sister, somebody took my sister, somebody took my sister. So she was kidnapped that night. And it was like a whirlwind. There was police officers, there was news cameras, everything. I was kind of in shock because I knew her and it was just weird. I was a kid, you know? And I went to school the next day. I came home and there was media everywhere. Like, I remember there being like local news reporters. And I'm thinking, oh no, did they find her? Like, what's going on? And I started listening to what the reporters were saying. It wasn't even, they were like, oh, well, so little girl gets taken, but she was dropped back off. And like, it was nothing. And I'm thinking, this is crazy. Like, something happened to her. Like, she got dropped back off. But so the girl came back the next day. So what ended up happening was the guy who was at our bus stop ended up being a friend of her father. Many people thought her father had something to do with it. I don't know. But he ended up being a friend of her father. He was the one who kidnapped her. He took her to my future high school, which is Potomac High School. He raped and sodomized her. I'm going to say that again. Raped and sodomized like an 8-year-old girl. And then brought her back. That's how easy things can happen. You have to be really vigilant and look after your children. And because of that and other situations that happened when I was younger, and that really traumatized me. Like, I'm not even going to go into full detail, but I don't want to cry. But that situation really, that was big. Because a month before that, a man was on our balcony and my sister started screaming because she saw a man on our balcony. Now, we didn't even live on the bottom floor, but I don't even know how he got up there. So it could have been us, you know what I'm saying? But it just taught me at a very young age to be very vigilant. Look around your surroundings. If you feel something, if something's weird, whatever, say something to somebody. And I just wish that we could have spoke up at that age and said, who is this random guy sitting here? You know, I've often wanted to go back and research it and see if he ever got convicted, because it was the first time I realized that a lot of times people are numb, because it was like a huge story for like 2 days. And then everybody in the neighborhood acted like a little girl didn't just get taken and raped. It was just so crazy. So those are the things that made me very passionate about this subject. And my children growing up thought I was so strict, and I don't want them to do this. Was I strict?
Yes, you were. But it's okay.
But
I couldn't even go to Golden Skate World. And if you
did go to Golden Skate World
twice. But if you're from the Berg, Golden Skate World was popping on Friday nights. Every Friday night, $10 get you in the.
You did go to Golden Skate World. Okay, so I had no problem with them.
And she was there one time.
I had no problem with them going anywhere. They didn't want to tell me who was going to be there.
How was I supposed to know? Everybody's at Golden Skate
I never
World.
said that about Golden Skate World.
No,
you went to Golden Skate World twice.
I went twice. On everything that I remember, I went twice.
Because it probably fell off by the time you started.
No, because you wouldn't let me go there because everybody who went there was like kissing and everything like that, and it was just a bunch of kids messing around, and that's why y'all didn't let me go there. And I wanted to meet all these new people. Instead, I was at Battlefield Elementary School, Battlefield Middle School. We hanging out with the same people. Everybody was just talking about, oh, that's such and such from such and such middle school. And I was like, I don't know them. I don't got a phone. I don't go to Golden Skate World.
Anyway, so you may have that reaction from your children. Oh, I don't remember that quite like that, but just know I had reason.
Absolutely.
Just know I had reason. So, Mimi, before we move on to Sarai, do you have any experiences that you've had with yourself or your daughter involving possible kidnappings, prostitution, anybody that you know who has kind of fallen victim to that lifestyle? Sometimes there's even girls who just have a really bad home life and then they end up on drugs and then they end up in that lifestyle.
I mean, so I don't personally know anybody that's, you know, been like abducted or anything like that. I've always been vigilant just because I have lots of friends in my past who were molested or raped. Mm-hmm. And so that's always just been in my forefront. So with human trafficking, like growing so much, I'm already on it. And that's why I'm always having these conversations with my daughter. Not necessarily human trafficking. I had a very uncomfortable situation with my daughter occur when we used to live in another state, and I kind of made a big deal about that. So my daughter was 3.
Mm-hmm.
Now you gotta understand, my daughter is she's kind of tall for her age. So she's 3, so she probably looks like she's 6. She's very articulate. She's been I swear she's been talking since she was like 15 months. But like, I mean, she's 3. She's talking in full sentences. She's extremely articulate.
She's Soraya and
always
Mini. I
has.
swear they're so much alike. It's crazy.
I just remember, we were living and there was some friends of the family, had a little girl, the same age as Marley. But her father always paid way too much attention to my daughter.
Pay attention to that.
Way too much.
Yeah.
And like, I was noticing, like, we'd all be outside, like barbecuing and stuff like that. And, there would be kids running around. There's other adults. But it's like, why are you taking my daughter under your arm and walking over here?
Yep.
It was always stuff like that. It was like, you're always talking to my daughter. My daughter is 3.
Mm-hmm.
There's no reason for you to talk to her. Like, nobody is talking to all. I mean, yes, we're all watching our kids and stuff, but nobody's having in-depth conversations with the kids.
Yeah.
But you always want to talk to my daughter.
Yeah.
And, oh, your daughter's so pretty, and always talking about my daughter. And, and his daughter was 3. Same age. Oh, if she wants to come spend the night, all this stuff. And, like, I mean, I told her dad at the time, I was like, she's never allowed to go over there. Mm-hmm. I don't even care if you're there.
You just feel uncomfortable.
I don't, and I told him this.
Trust your gut.
I brought these concerns to him. I explained, I said, it just makes me uncomfortable. I don't like the way he always talks to her, and I feel like he always gives her too much attention. I mean, I like kids, but I'm not doing what you're doing. You like kids, but you're not doing what he's doing. And so then he started watching, and he started noticing. And then, like, he actually, called him out on it, and it was kind of an issue. But it was just like,
oh well.
Yeah, like, it was like, he brought it. Then so her dad ended up bringing it to his attention. I mean, our families ended up kind of separating and not dealing with each other anymore. But I mean, that's why I didn't say anything initially, because I was like, maybe I'm just paranoid. Mm-hmm. But then after her dad started noticing, it kind of validated my opinion. And so, I mean, I feel awful. Like, if I would have just ignored it and been like, oh yeah, go ahead, go spend the night. Like, would I be on this show now saying how my daughter was molested when she was 3?
On a different story.
So it's just.
I totally agree with you, and I respect you for doing that, because it's hard, because people will think you're crazy.
Yeah.
I have been told
I'll be crazy. I don't care.
Yeah. All my children's life, they might not even know this. This might be my daughter's first time of hearing this. If we ever had people over the house and somebody went inside the house and we were out back and my kids were in the house, I was following them in the house. And I was told that it was too much. But in my opinion, everyone is a pedophile until proven otherwise. Mm-hmm. And it can happen like that. I am like Mimi. I love kids. Great. They're fun. They're great. I love your kids. They're great. We all, whatever.
But I'm not taking.
I don't understand why, as an adult, you got all these adults around. You're a man or a woman, because you got to watch out for them now too. You got all these dudes and women, fine people you could be mingling with, but you want to wrestle with kids that aren't even your kids or anybody in your family, and you always want to focus on children. That's a red flag for me. And I'm definitely hovering over you. Mm-hmm. And I believe that parents should do that, because there's way too many children that are falling victim to molestation. Now, of course, sometimes you cannot prevent it. Things happen, and you can do, everything that you can possibly do, and your child could still fall victim to that. Because a lot of times it's family members. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. You don't think that family members are going to do it. And then you'll just have to kill them later.
Oh my.
I said it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You do the best that
you do the best you can, but there's so many parents that are so concerned with hanging out and partying and everything like that, they don't really think about random people going in and out of the house around their children. I grew up in a situation. I grew up in the 80s.
Well, I'm
Okay.
saying that's exactly why. I mean,
Yeah.
That's exactly why I said Marley wasn't allowed to go over there, you know, unless if I was there, because you know, first of all, her dad and him, they were friends, so you know they'd be drinking and shooting.
And you're not on
shooting
point
pool
when
and
you're
stuff, and so
yeah.
and so my thing was, and that's what I told her dad. I was like, who's to say that you don't get drunk? And he's like, you know, hey, I'm gonna dip off for a second. I'm gonna go talk to blah blah blah. And you're like, okay, I'm just chilling, waiting for him to come back. And so, and
It can happen
that's
that
what I'm saying.
quickly.
Like,
So
I was on it, and I will always be on it.
So we're just saying that to tell all the parents out there, like, don't feel bad. People are going to say, oh, you're tripping. You're this and you're that. Don't do that. One time I told my ex, I don't want, you know, people alone with my children. He was like, you know, he didn't grow up with these experiences. So you only know what you know, right? And I knew that's why he was thinking like, oh, everybody's great. And I said, nah, man, these people could be pedophiles. Oh, he's not. No, my friends, the people I know from work, they're not, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I don't want nobody going in the house with my children. I'm going in there every time. You know what I'm saying? Whatever. And we kind of had a little beef about that. And then about 3 weeks later, I found out a guy who came over our house was a convicted pedophile. You would have never thought of it. Only reason I found out is because the guy who was his friend from work was dating a girl I worked with in like a hair salon. And someone told me. Well, the person who told me was messy, so I was like, whatever. I went and, you know me. I went and researched it, and big as day, his picture. So once I told my ex that, from that point on, he didn't question me. He was like, oh man, like it was shock. And I get it because he didn't have those experiences growing up. I had a lot of experiences that let me know how quickly and how close it could be. So we're just telling all you parents out there, like, it can start with family members. It can start with family friend, could be connected to the sex industry or the slave trade industry, and they could befriend you and be looking at your child, and then all of a sudden they take them to get ice cream and they never come back. Trust your gut. I believe in intuition. Your gut will tell you 99.5 times energy is real. Keep yourself on a certain vibration so when energy is off, you feel it, and then you can watch and be vigilant for your children. So, Soraya.
So,
Talk about your experience as a young woman.
like,
all of this.
you want me to like give a specific occurrence or just talk about my idea about it?
Well, the first occurrence I remember was that time that you and your brother were out front.
I think you should talk about a specific experience and then talk about your ideas.
Yes.
Okay.
So I remember the time we were in front of the house.
That was probably the scariest time.
Okay, so talk about that time.
Because I don't
This was
know,
at my
so I
house.
would love to know.
So it was me, my little brother, and his friend were all outside out front. And my little brother and his friend were in the yard. I was like by the basketball hoop, by the road, obviously. And I had a cup of fruit in my hand because I love fruit, you know? So this white car comes down the street, and it was like real nice, like a real nice white car. So I was like, okay, like maybe he needs directions because I've been asked for directions before. So he comes on the street, he slows down.
How old were you?
What grade
Maybe
was I in? I was in like
13, 12?
no, I was older than that.
14?
I was probably 14.
14? Yeah, 14. I think it was 14.
But anyways, so he came down the street and his windows were all tinted black, whatever. So I was like, okay, like he's gonna ask me for some directions. He rolls down the window and he's like, what do you have in your hand there? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like what? Like, you know, caught off guard. And then he asked how old I was. And then he asked if I was 18. And I told y'all I didn't say anything back to him, but I told him no. I don't know why I told y'all I didn't say anything back to him.
But your gut.
But I told him
But your
no.
gut was doing what?
Telling me to watch out for Jeremiah and get into my hat.
Her gut was already telling her something's not right.
So as I was telling him no, I was like, okay, this is weird. Like, he's like literally right in front of me. You know what I mean? So dude's just sitting there staring at me. And I turn to Jeremiah and I'm like, get in the house. And Jeremiah's like, what? And I'm like, get in the house. And he freezes. So I run, I pick him up, and I leave his friend. Sorry, but I leave his friend and I run.
I didn't even think about that. What's his name? Franco.
Oh, poor Franco.
Poor Franco.
I run into the house, and my dad is in the backyard with like all his friends. So I tell him, I ain't gonna tell y'all what he did, but
I'm gonna tell it. I'm gonna tell it because it's hilarious.
Anyway, so he hops in the what was it? He hopped in the truck. No, he was in.
They called me.
Wait, hold on. He hopped in his friend's car, and then his other friend was on a motorcycle, and they went on a high speed chase. I didn't tell them no details though. I just told them
Without
it was a white
asking
car.
any details about what
They
the
didn't
guy
really
looked
ask
like.
any details about who the guy looked like. I just said it was a white car, and I was like crying. Obviously, I was like scared because like when I turned around when I was going inside the car, he was still sitting there. Like he was just like chilling. Like it was nothing, and I was like, this is not okay, you know.
And around this time, I want to point this out. This is in Fredericksburg, Virginia. I don't know if anybody who's local remembers, but there was like 2 years straight that there were all these attempted abductions going on. People were getting away. People were coming up trying to abduct people. It just actually happened recently in Stafford too. A guy tried to approach young boys. This happened for 2 years straight. Our neighborhood we were living in was the neighborhood that Sylvia.
Of the Sylvia girls, yeah.
That's Sylvia and the other girl, Kristen. I can't remember. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
sorry. I
apologize. I
but
remember though.
that was the neighborhood
I
we
was
were
in
living
middle school when that happened.
So I had already talked to my children about abductions, but her gut told her, and really think about it. Why would a grown man who pulls up and let's say he was just trying to flirt and he made a mistake. First of all, she looked like a
I
kid.
ain't look no.
She looked like a kid. But let's say he said something. And then she says, no, not 18. Yeah. Why would you sit there and be staring at somebody? You're about to make a move. You know what I'm saying? You're about to make a move. He probably tried to make a move and he saw, oh, they have people over. There's a motorcycle there. There's a whole bunch of dudes in the back. Boom. All right, so your dad calls me. I rush home. I'm ready to kill something. He got all his friends with him. They don't get no details because there's no woman around. There's no details. And then what happens?
So they basically went and they said I said it was a white car. It looked really new and it looked really nice, you know. So they went on a chase to find this white car. So they ride around the neighborhood and I guess they find somebody in a white car and they chase him and the guy must have been scared of his life.
And he was yelling, why are you doing this to me?
So they're chasing him like down the road, like weaving in and out of traffic, like on his tail, and he's trying to like get away from them because he's like, oh my gosh, like what is going on, you know? So they finally like pull up in the Giant, I guess, and the dude just gets out the car and he's like, why are y'all chasing me? Like what is going on? And my dad like is like, did you just talk to my daughter? This, that, and the third. And I guess the guy said yes. I don't know why.
No, so initially they caught up to him at first, and he said, were you just, where our address was on that, but he said the neighborhood.
Oh.
What I think at this point, years later, is that dude was over there seeing some girl that he was like trying to mess with. He said, did you just go over there and see a girl? He didn't give no details, nothing. So the dude said, yeah. And then they was on him, and he got scared and ran, and they all ran and ran. Sorry.
But they were
he's on a motorcycle,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But
they said they ran red lights and everything.
Yeah.
Like,
well, we don't know statute of limitations.
no.
So basically, they were trying to get the guy, but he was gone. But they caught up with somebody that not getting details. They whatever. What I learned that night is the police aren't really help when it comes to that. They didn't have live. They never followed up. They came by, took a little report. Nothing.
He was annoyed when he came to the house.
Yeah,
he was annoyed.
She was 14 years old. She remembers a police officer being annoyed. That's crazy. Okay, so your other one. What's another one?
God, I have so many from this past year. Like, cause I started driving, so I have a lot from this past year. Cause I be on the road. But I have one where people are talking about this couple right now in Fredericksburg. So I kind of want to go on that one. Because I'm pretty sure they approached me last year. So I was at Five Below in a parking space. I was like, just chilling on my phone, about to go inside the store, and this green truck like pulls up and he's like blocking like part of the road. So like if I wanted to leave, I couldn't go out that way. I had to go out and it would be like harder for me to leave, you know what I mean? So I was like, okay. So he rolls down the window and he's talking about like my headlights are dirty or something like that. And I was like, no, thank you. He has a girl in like the seat next to him. She looks like drugged out. And then he has a little girl in the back, and she didn't look nothing like either of them. So I was like, okay. So he was like, oh, like you're freaking your headlights are dirty. Let me clean them for you. I'll do it for free. I'll give you like a free trial. In my head, I was like, how you gonna clean them for free the first time? I ain't go, you know what I mean? Like, it ain't make no sense. And I was like, no, thank you. No, thank you. And then he was like, you look just like my daughter. She's in the back seat. It's her birthday today. And I looked at her and I was like, first, she don't look like either of y'all. And she don't look like me either. You know what I mean? I was like, this is not okay. And I was like, okay, like, I'm good. You know, like, letting him know, like, leave me alone. Because I had my taser and my pepper spray on me. So I was like, you know, like,
keep your kids equipped.
If something gets to popping, it's going to get to popping, you know? And it was daytime. Like, he was bold. But anyway, so he drives away. I thought he drove away. So I'm sitting there, you know, ready to go inside. And I look in my rear view mirror and he's parked right behind me. And his door is open. So, you know me, I'm like, get out the way. Like, I left. But no, I'm pretty sure because there's a couple in Fredericksburg right now trying to go around and have people like smell their cleaning supplies. It might be the same people, it might not. Don't do that though.
Hold on, smell cleaning supplies. They've approached people.
Yeah, that's like a big thing right now. Like they want people to smell their cleaning supplies. Like if they put stuff on a cloth and like they can like knock you out. You know?
Yeah. Oh,
Powerful.
I didn't know that. Okay, so
I would say another thing that I heard in Stafford, somebody tried to abduct somebody at the Walmart. Like it's all over Facebook.
This one?
Walmart off in Stafford. It's all over Facebook right now.
Oh, 610?
Mm-hmm. They tried to get this lady in the parking lot at Walmart into a white van. So I mean, it's on Fredericksburg Wall of Shame. It's like all over the place right now.
And see, this is going on. This is going on everywhere. That one girl, she just recently escaped out of the trunk of somebody's car. Like it's going on. You have to really be vigilant. We're not saying this to scare everybody. We're saying that it's an epidemic going on. We're saying that black girls
and it's
are not being talked about.
Yeah, it's happening.
And we are all black women, and we want everybody to take notice and listen to it. You know what I'm saying? Like, everyone needs to rise up and talk about this. It is scary to think. I mean, I'm a grown woman, and I'm not scared. Like, I'm not a scary person like that. But I find myself, you know, at night, like looking around, like, okay, because like if something like that with some smell stuff, what am I gonna do? You know what I'm saying? Like, you gotta really be, like you said, aware of your surroundings to not have somebody do something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like,
well, I mean, and then it's just you need to be aware of your surroundings. So if something is off, like if you do go to the grocery store or to Walmart or whatever, and your car's in the parking lot, and then, you know, you come out to your car and it's blocked in, or there's two big vans like next to your car, go get somebody. I mean, and stores are even saying, if you feel uncomfortable, come get come back into the store and somebody will walk with you. Like, and stores are saying this because they know that it's actually a problem. And yes, they might be saying it because it's white women that are going missing as well, but it is a problem. And even though you're black, you can still go and ask the store manager to come with you to their car.
And they usually are accommodating. Most people at grocery stores, they don't even want to be in there. Like, I'll go out with you. You know, you look cute, girl. What's your number? You know what I'm saying? Another thing, like Soraya said, I try to, during Christmas time, to buy females in the family tasers, things like that. Please equip your children and young people in your family tasers, pepper spray. If you're of age, get your concealed carry permit. You know what I'm saying? Learn how to shoot a gun, that kind of stuff. Because you have to be your own protector. You need to protect yourself, especially if you don't have a man in the house. Like women, you need to know how to do something. You know what I'm saying? Watch Kill Bill. Try to do some knife skills. I don't know, but try to definitely protect yourself. And if you ever are put in a situation where you are being taken against your will by anybody, you need to know that your chances of survival decrease if they take you from the spot you're at. So you need to fight like hell. You know what I'm saying? Like fight. If a person is grabbing you and they have you over their shoulder, you bite their neck until your teeth meet. You worry about AIDS and all that shit later, because usually your body will reject it because it's like called violent DNA. But anyway, that's a whole nother subject. But definitely fight them right then and there. And most people, because everybody plays around, they're not going to listen to you scream. So scream fire. Scream something that's going to affect everyone in that vicinity where they'll look. Scream fire first and then start screaming, help me, this person's trying to take me. But you definitely need to fight back. And if you get taken and you're put into a trunk of a car, a lot of trunks have like the latch in them now or things like that. Get a
Pop the
keychain.
headlights out.
Pop the headlights out. Get a keychain joint to be able to have light in the trunk, you know, wherever. Keep fighting. Even if it take you to a place, I don't care where it is, you fight. And you don't fight fair. This ain't no fight in like a high school. Like, you pull stuff, you use stuff, whatever, because playing nice, what we've seen through history, does not make the victim come back. It's the people who really, the guy who took, who killed the List sisters and the other girl, Sylvia, in our neighborhood, he was caught because he kidnapped another girl. I think she was in North Carolina or somewhere down south, and she fought like hell. She fought, she got away, and she's a huge advocate now. But the history shows us that the people who really don't give up fighting are the ones who survive. So I want everybody to survive. It's an epidemic. We're really we're in dire straits in many areas in the Black community. And the Black community is directly connected to the hip hop community. So I wish hip hop would speak out about it more. Hopefully that'll be something that's coming. But it's an epidemic. I want y'all to research. Make sure Ranisha Rudd, definitely research her case. Kendrick Johnson, research that case, please, and the organ trade in general. And also research Henrietta Lacks so you can understand why you're celebrated and hated. And Soraya,
Yes.
before we close out, as a young female, because you've shared some experiences. Oh, hold on. What about the people who approached you about the job interview?
Oh, okay, so
This is
Shawty.
another one.
So I work at a restaurant in Fredericksburg, and this woman comes in, she orders her food or whatever, you know. It's like way late at night, like I'm trying to go home, you know. So all my friends are there, we're all just chilling, you know, goofing around at the host stand. And she comes back in to get her meal, but like at this point, like she looks real like off something, you know, she didn't look right, you know what I'm saying? She was in scrubs, and then she comes up to the host stand and she's like, how old do you guys have to be to like hold these positions? And we were like telling her, because like, you know, maybe she wanted a job, maybe she wanted to change her job. And then she was like, oh, well, I work at this like medical, I don't even know what it was called, up the street. This is how much money I made today. And she showed us like all her cash. It was like $100 bills. Like,
Trying to entice her.
Mm-hmm.
girl made a lot of money. Anyways, it was a lot of money.
If she's in scrubs, she's not gonna have $100.
Exactly.
That's what I'm saying. So
But think about
she
how
was
many
like-
young girls
Yeah.
will fall for it.
she was like, you get paid every day in cash. This much money. You don't even need to have a degree. You
Oh
guys
my
can start
God.
working right now.
Isn't that crazy?
And
That's just happened last
she
year.
wrote down the phone number to this place to call, and she was like, you guys can get an interview tomorrow. Like they're on it. We're trying to hire people right now. Call this number and get an interview tomorrow. And my friends were all like, oh shoot, you know what I'm saying? Like, we get paid minimum wage here. We gotta go over to this. I said, girls. My mom always says this, if it don't make sense, there's a lie somewhere.
Yeah.
Like, it don't make no sense. Why are y'all trying to? But yeah, that was one.
That's crazy. Cause
So how does that make you feel, like, as a young adult? Like, how does that, like, do you feel worried? Do you feel empowered? Because I have tried to, like, instill in you what to do. Do you feel like the only person who's woke amongst your friends? Do you feel like other parents are telling their children? Do you feel, like, how what's your thoughts on that?
I just feel like I always have to stay on my pivot, you know? Like, even if I'm at college and I meet new friends and they're like, oh, like, come over to my apartment or something like that, like, I'm gonna bring my taser because I don't know you like that. Like, you know what I mean?
And it's gonna be charged, son.
Like, for real, because you honestly don't know how people are. Like,
Nope.
you don't know what they're about. Whether it be, like, sex trafficking or, like, somebody trying to take advantage of you or this, that, and the third. Like, you always want to be aware of what's going on. You want to make sure that you know what situation you're in. So I feel like that. But I also feel like I'm real smart and vigilant. So I be peeping a lot of stuff. And I know how to, like, get myself out of situations without, like, being too scared. Like I know like when I was like, okay, I need to be on go right now. You know, like
I totally understand because that's literally how I am.
yeah.
So
And-
teach your children how to move in a room full of vultures.
Go
Definitely.
mode.
I just want to say I'm very proud of you, my daughter. I'm very proud that she has listened to all the things that I've said, even though I get on her nerves. I'm very proud to have a friend who thinks the same way I do, because I can't tell you how many other friends I have. But oh, girl, that's too much. But you don't think anything. You think everything's sweet until you have an experience, right? Or you have friends who have experiences or whatever. So I'm just really proud of the panel that we had here today.
Can I cut you off real quick?
Uh-huh.
So if they give you numbers to call, or if you see some ad on the side of the street that makes like you can make this much money in a week with
No
little
experience.
education, don't call the numbers.
No.
They can track your phone. Like okay,
Yeah.
anyways.
Don't even do it. Don't even do it. A lot of the recruiting goes on Craigslist too. I don't know if they've cut down on that though, because they took out like the little ad thing, so they may have cut down on it. But it goes so deep. Like even Facebook. Like just this week, this girl who was in a couple of groups I was in, and she had mutual friends. She requested me as a friend. I usually don't add people I really don't know, but I was like, oh, okay, she's mutual friends with a rack of people I'm friends with, and she has some real cute fishnets on. So I wrote her and I said, I'm just to let you know, I usually don't add people, but you got some real cute fishnets on, I'm gonna add you. I add her, boom, don't think anything of it. She never writes me back, but I don't think anything of it. The other day I'm at work, and I get a video call from her on Facebook. I'm like, oh, that must have been a mistake, I didn't answer it. So then she starts blowing it up, and I'm telling my client's like, no, answer it. So me and my client are in the camera like this. Ain't no black girl with no fashion makeup on at all. That's what she looked like in her profile pic. It is a guy in another country somewhere, and he's just going,
Oh no.
and then he takes the camera and shows he has friends in the room. And I was like, what do you want? What's that? He's like, oh. So he obviously doesn't speak English. So he's catfished me. Okay, no harm, no foul. But I posted about it. But when I posted about it, all of my friends start saying he contacted them and he started sending them porn and all kinds of stuff. So that could have been an open door to someone who is in that industry, or somebody who would like maybe say, oh, you're really beautiful, I like to get to know you. And a young naive girl started talking to her. Next thing you know, you out in Dubai or Israel or Spain or somewhere else, you far away from your family and you're being drugged up by somebody. You know what I'm saying? Like, so just be vigilant out there. We definitely just want to bring light to that. Like I said, hopefully next season, I'm working on some things. I have a couple of people that could really provide insight. I just got to speak to them and see if they're comfortable being on the podcast discussing these things, but they are directly affected. And I want to go really deep into this because it's a really important subject. But thank you guys for being here.
Thank you for having us.
All right, this is the end of the Dope Dichotomy Black Girl Lost episode. Thank you.